Someone just asked me when I'm going to write another book. I said, not until I sell like hundreds of thousands of copies of this one. So there you have it, okay? Because I'm not going to keep writing for a small audience, you know. I write, it takes me, it's like a big gift of my life to devote that much time to putting into that kind of stuff. So until I see more and more people want to buy it and are interested in going to the hardest level, which is being responsible for yourself, I'm not going to write anymore. How's that? So that means you have to like turn a lot of people on and get a lot of people to read my books, and then maybe I'll write another one. Okay, we're locked. We're going to go. Ready, Gare? All right, we are here once again for part 2 of this afternoon's very in-depth and lively institution, we'll call it, as Jet has named it, which basically is a good discussion. And one of the things that's happening is that as you each ask questions, some people are saying, oh, I could have asked that, or oh, this is important. So you get to hear what is important to each other, and we get to give you insight on it. So we were speaking about the fall of religion and what's coming. And we'll cover a little bit of this now, and we'll go back to questions in a moment. Of course, people are going to have a difficult time when they realize that everything that they have invested in is bogus. And you know, you may think, well, don't they realize it when they die, when they go over and they see it's not that? Here's the thing about dying. There's a trick to dying. Indeed, there is. And part of our work is preparing you to die, to know how to die cleanly, to take all of your energies with you and not become some dispossessed entity and to jump onto someone or to go to some false heaven. When you leave the planet, let's say if you have Hindu beliefs and Christian beliefs or Islamic beliefs, etc., you may, for a time, find yourself in those islands of beliefs, because you do carry your beliefs over with you to the other side. And then you end up occupying or dwelling in the reality that those beliefs have set up. And we cannot say, oh, this batch is superior to this batch, or you don't want to go there, or you don't want to go there. You go where your beliefs take you, and this is the part about being a creator, is that you have the right to believe what you want, and then to decide whether it works for you or not. And the question earlier says, what is this thing about time? Well, across the timelines and avenues of time in different incarnations, you really get to check out a bunch of different beliefs, if you want to immerse in many, many different cultures of belief. Now, as we mentioned, there is huge suppression on the planet, massive, 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 about the truth of what and what Earth is, who occupies Earth, and what Earth's role has been in history. Many of the beings that you call God or that religions worship as gods are not necessarily gods per se. And then we have to ask you, what is God, and what is your own definition of God? Because probably all of you don't have the same answer. You may have some sort of thread of commonality within your religious trainings. But what is God? What does that concept embody? If you want to be really fair, one could say it is the part of the garden of the mind that is building an archetype, that's saying there is this mysterious creator out there, and we must name this creator, this creative force. What is that creative force? It is said that that force is omniscient. If that force is omniscient, then imagine the consciousness that that force has to know all things that are in all aspects of reality. Now, you have that force within you too. And you telepathically are in contact with all the vibrational frequencies and messages that are being bombarded all over the world. But your neurology is designed in such a way to give you the pleasure of private moments, to give you the illusion that it's you and you alone occupying your current timeline. And that, of course, is a blessing. It is a grace that you can walk in the woods by yourself and meet your thoughts and not have to be omniscient and know what every other form of consciousness is doing and thinking. So the concept of God, of course, is totally vacant without Goddess. It is empty. This summer, last summer, whatever summer it was, '07 summer, we accompanied our vehicle and colleagues and students and travelers, Cecca, and we all went to France and Malta. And you will find in the future France is going to rise in prominence as a country that has sequestered a tremendous amount of information. And the French know what they are sitting on, so to speak, and we do not mean derrière. There are many things buried in the Pyrenees. Many, many powerful things have happened in France that would, in prehistory, so to speak, that would completely change everyone's outlook of what is going on the planet. Malta, a small island off the coast of North Africa, south of Sicily, has always been a very important strategic location to religious and military fanatics. For a very good reason. Malta is riddled with limestones, and many caves, and Malta has openings that go into the earth and that connect up with the ancient, very ancient Atlantean tunnel system. This is of prime importance. After World War II, some bigwigs, who was it, Stalin, Roosevelt, and Churchill, yes, Stalin, Roosevelt, and Churchill all met in Malta, and it was Eisenhower who had his bunkers and his central command underground in Malta. And the turning point of the war, negotiations were made in Malta. Why? Someone brought this up to us recently, and they said, why was Charles de Gaulle not invited? Why? Because you see, wars are produced to allow certain military, religious, secret society organizations to get into location. Why do you say, do they want location? You think, oh, is it oil? Is it natural gas? Is it gold, etc.? Sometimes. But more important are historical artifacts, giant skeletons, strange skeletons of other life forms. Artifacts that no one has any idea what they do. Devices, some call them looking glasses, portable stargates, where one literally has a device and one can open the lines of time and move across the space-time continuum, so that fourth and fifth dimension, the isolation of the fourth and fifth dimension becomes something that you just ride your skateboard across by your mind. It is true that you are living in a post-technological world, meaning the technological achievements that have been blossoming and burgeoning on the planet for 50, 60 years are a small echo, a small, minute echo, compared to the technological magnificence that has walked on this planet and that you have been a part of. You heard Mr. Chet say earlier, he's not so big on technology. Well, our vehicle is even less big on technology. Why? Not because you are reincarnated Luddites, necessarily. They were those who shunned all sorts of modern conveniences. But many of you understand that you have lived in a time over and over again where innovation reached the point where instead of alleviating civilization, it began to destroy it. So you must ask yourself this question: at what point does innovation lead to destruction? And so some of you may be wary of certain things because you remember those previous times of destruction. far back in time. Yes, you can say, oh, Atlantis, and there's much indication that about 12,000 years ago, the Atlantean remnants of Atlantis at that time approximately went under the waves. But the colonies still exist. The colonies were moved along the Atlantic Rim. And so you have anything along the Atlantic coast being primarily influenced, most assuredly, from the last remnants of Atlantis. And again, Plato decrees that the waters turn to mud beyond the Straits of Hercules. And today those straits are called the Straits of Gibraltar. And one side is Spain, and another side is Morocco. And Hercules, of course, as you know, was reported to be a giant. And in the French mythologies and wonderings and secrets, there are stories that even Hercules is buried someplace in the Pyrenees, near Mont Ségur. Mont Ségur being something that the Nazis were very, very, very interested in. So, what's coming down is that there has been success, particularly over the last few thousand years, what you call the age of Pisces in the progression series. There has been, and Pisces, remember, would be characterized by enlightenment and in mental insanity, confinement, confusion, divine consciousness. This is the age that you have been in. So there would be a lot of confusion about religion in the age of Pisces. There would be a lot of projection. My God is the greatest. And a lot of hiding from the truth. Pisces can be astoundingly liberating in this understanding of connectiveness, but shockingly disturbed with the insane interpretations of delusion. These are characteristics of the last 2,000 years. Civilization, the destruction of civilization that you may remember, may go back billions of years, not just a few 100,000, which, according even to modern historians, would be nincompoopery. They believe that you go back 4,000, 6,000 years with people, and then everyone's prehistoric or some kind of nonsense, and it's all a cover-up at the top. And what about the others? You say, well, can't they see through it? Many people want position, they want power, they want security, they want labels and degrees after their name, they want to have dinner with so-and-so, they want to know this and they know that. And so they sell their soul to be somebody rather than to stand up for the truth. And then if they think about standing up for the truth, they may remember an echo along the timelines or in the genealogy that says, don't you remember Aunt Mattie and Uncle Hank and Jake and all these other people that stood up for the truth, and where are they? They lost their heads. Because there has been much punishment in the last 2,000 years for those who would dare to say that the Piscean illusion is a bunch of nonsense. So as things move on the progression cycle, and you do enter the age of Aquarius, and there's no date for it, it is a sort of an ambiguous transition of, let's say, 100 years, 200 years of some such. You're talking about an age being approximately 2,200 years, 2,200, something like 2,176 years or something like that. So there is the bridge time between one coloration of agreements and another. And you can say, well, I don't understand astrology, and I don't understand this, and I don't necessarily believe in it. Well, you may not understand the weather, but when it's summer, it's summer. Do you understand? And when it's winter, it's winter. When it's raining, it's raining. And you do make the weather, by the way. We may get around to that. Yes, there's weather control of an extraordinary nature. And the elements are also playing their part, but the weather is a mood of the masses. So you must accept responsibility for that one as well. But just because you may not understand the cosmic calendar, it is another way of counting time. Another way of saying, here I am ensconced in this moment. And what is this moment connected to? Yes, it may be connected now to a digital watch, but a long time ago and throughout history, people look to the heavens. And they look to find a relationship and pattern with the heavens. And so the counting of time according to things moving in the heavens is very, very ancient. And you know, it's very fascinating that on the larger picture of counting time in reality, time moves backwards. Today, the sun is in Scorpio, yes? 1 month from now, it is going to be in Capricorn. Oh, sorry. Sagittarius, then it is going to go to Capricorn. But you are in the age of Pisces, and rather than going to the age of Aries, you are going to go to the age of Aquarius. So you see how time is simply a custom. It's a map to help you say, here I am right now. And these are the energies I'm being influenced by. So the energies for the next few years are going to have very strong influence on bringing forward some shocking truths about the planet. These shocking truths are being dreamed over now. How do we translate that? We would say that is Uranus in the sign of Pisces. Uranus will leave Pisces, transiting Uranus, planet in the sky, will leave the sign of Pisces in end of 09, early 010. And it will bring worldwide revolution. And that revolution will play itself out in every manner that you can imagine. We have often reminded you that if you can remember, not everyone lost their head during the French Revolution. Some rememberings there. Just because you are alive for these times does not mean they have to be jeopardizing your own being. Each person has their own freedom to choose what they will. Will people die during these revolutions? Yes. Will absolutely shocking technology be used to attempt to control people? Yes. This is why you must work with your mind. And the mind will be linked up in such a way that the mind will be able, the collective mind, will be able eventually to shut technologies down that are harmful to you. You see, sometimes you create a difficult situation only to bring out the best in yourselves. So at the core of your being, make an agreement that you are always in the right place at the right time. Affirm your safety if you want to be safe. And be totally intuitive and trusting that your body and your potato and the garden of the mind knows what's going on, even if the front character, the front man, front woman, P, has no idea. And this is a way of thinking that if you were trained from the time you were born, you would be adepts. But you haven't been trained since you were born. You've been looking to bring something to the planet, and now is the time. And it is more difficult sometimes to take on new behavior the more you've been around the block. But you see, when you expand your thinking, your brain doesn't shrink. You build new neurological pathways. You open new aspects of the brain that free you. And you leave a trail of frequency for the rest of the planet to follow. Just as if you were bushwhacking in the woods, making paths for people to hike to a certain area. So, back to a little bit of a story here. Some of the things that the acceleration will do is they will crash people's beliefs. And people will have to encounter truths that are very disturbing. And the global elite that have been pressing down and controlling and holding all the secrets of the planet, those secrets cannot be pressed down anymore. Pluto to the galactic center just a few weeks ago opened the power of the galactic mother, the galactic goddess. She says, value life. Here's the truth, speak the truth, and take the creativity of the multiverse and flourish. These are her decrees. How does she stand with God? God says, let the missus go. Let her do what she wants. Listen to her. You understand? So all things are going to be shaken up by truths that will come out of the ground. Pluto does like to bring up the truth, and let's say Capricorn is the ground, it is the bones. Truth will come out of the bones, truth will come out of the stones of earth. And new structures will have to be built. But before all of this really takes hold, those who are in charge now, you call them Illuminatis, global elite, all sorts of names, the theys and the thems of the world. And if you don't know who they are, then get to work at it. It's too late to ask that question now. There's plenty of information out there, and all these people here can point you in a direction. However, when these things start to come out, it will be shocking to many, many people. And everyone will question, well, where does Jesus or where does Krishna or where does Allah, and where do all these gods fit in here? So there will be a disenchantment that will come about with religion as hardcore data starts to be revealed. Right now, when things are discovered through oil digging or digging on for natural gas or mining and things of this nature, if any anomalous anything is discovered, there is absolutely corporate rule. Close it down. You call in certain people, and always, depending upon what's discovered, very often someone disappears or someone is suicided. There's a huge investment, and has been, in keeping people quiet who discover, especially skeletons, openings to other parts of the earth, artifacts, things of this nature. You must understand that at one time there were beings of massive structure on this planet. All your fairy tales and myths and stories are full of the rememberings, but you relegate these things to childhood entertainment. We said to a friend of ours a few years ago, came to a party, it was a timeline party, a Halloween party, and he came dressed in sort of a desert costume. Actually, there's an interesting story behind it. He waited to the last minute and went to the costume store, and all the good costumes were rented, and they said, all we have is the 3 wise men left for Christmas. He said, well, give me one of those wise men, I'll take one of those on. And so it worked perfectly. He came as a desert person. And so in speaking to him, we said this. We said, do you remember crossing the deserts and being caught in a storm and looking for the head of a giant, a skull, to sleep in? You and your camels, of course, and the others in your party. Does that resonate with any of you? That beings have walked this earth and skeletal evidence have been found. Well, let's say beings have walked this earth and have been absolutely massive in structure, up to 100 feet and more in height. That seems impossible. But skeletal structures have been found. Northern Africa, that the skeleton measured 35 feet in height. Now, what do you suppose all the people with degrees that are touting Mr. Darwin's story are going to say when this kind of evidence shows up? And some of them are very aware that this evidence is around. France is full of graveyards of chevaliers. What is their term for knight? Chevaliers who died in the 14th, 15th, 16th century, 17th century even, who were 15-footers, 17-footers, 20-footers. All before Darwin's decree, of course. This is a small example to show you how the truth of your planet has been completely absconded. And what has happened in between? You give people a whole new picture of history, you teach it to them, and then you reward them for learning the disinformation, and you reward them so they will go out and teach others. That is the pathetic state of knowledge in some of the planet. Yet if you were able, and some of you have moved into the corners of the earth and met indigenous peoples, and they have shown you things. They have shown you what they know or opened up These things are all going to come out. Now, between that great explosion of revelation and the now, when Pluto goes into Capricorn in January, it is to be expected that things are already in place to completely control your lives for about the next 18 moons. You will have regulation, mandate, surveillance, everything that you can imagine come down so strongly that it will be beyond your wildest dreams. The country of England right now and Australia are being used as test cases. You test it out here, and then you apply it to the masses. Again, these are acts of desperation to control the flow of information, the exchange of energy, socialization, vibrations, attempts to halt the unfolding of spirituality in the nanosecond, and of course to halt the loss of control that the non-physicals have over this planet. And they of course rule their physical puppets, and they do not care about their puppets. Once the puppet is worn out, they just jump to another one within the same bloodlines or organizations, of course. So before we take up questions, again, we want you to think about some of these things. And not to be frightened, but to say to yourself, what a time I picked to be alive. Wow, I hope I know what I was doing. I do know what I'm doing. I shall know what I'm doing. To be truthful with yourself. And you see, gatherings like this help you see that even though you all come from different perspectives, you're not alone. Yet you must do it alone. Do you understand? So, and there is energy. It is very intelligent. It is like grids of energy. It's layered within you. And those grids are fired, are opened at the appropriate time. And one can look at Eastern astrology, Western astrology, and see the patterns. But if you were truly, truly, truly adept, and your senses were wide open to the natural world, you could find any old blade of grass, last year's leaf, any bit of nature, the shells from a squirrel's nuts. If you knew how to read it, it would tell you the whole story. So marvel on that one for a while, that you all have these abilities. They are not just for a few. We would like to ask each of you that as a result of coming to this weekend, and certainly hearing our work and listening to our considerations, that you consider offering a gift to the planet. And throughout the course of the weekend, when you have an aha, instead of making it very personal, stay with the personal and don't lose it. But at that moment when you are having an aha, send it to the whole planet. Picture, imagine that you are on the moon and that you are like the astronauts. Well, supposedly they were there, but more than likely they weren't. That's another story. But looking at the Earth from the moon, you're saying, sending this to Earth, wake up Earth, and use your position playfully to send your ahas out perfectly intentionally. All right, let's go over to questions now and see where else we want to go. We heard Michael here. All right, Michael.
I have a question for you.
Quiet, please, one person at a time. One thing we would like to do is to have everyone respect everyone else. And that makes a nice world if it works. All right, Michael, please.
Barbara, I have a question for you.
We are the Pleiadians, if there is a difference.
I was told I was one of 7 people that was born to do a specific job for the planet during this time.
We are not going there. We are so sorry. We do not stroke personal egos.
Oh,
next question. Who hasn't spoken? Missy? Missy? No offense, sir, but Michael, but everyone wants to know how they're special and you're all special. Go ahead, Missy.
Gamma frequencies.
Gamma frequencies. What are they?
How can we meet them better and incorporate them? Because you said they're coming on the planet and the scientists say the sun is ejecting masses of gamma rays.
The gamma rays are not just coming from the sun, although there is great disconcernment in the scientific community because, first of all, within the scientific community, no one can agree upon what the sun is, let alone what the sun is doing. Now, gamma ray bursts can come from any place in the cosmos. Gamma rays are quite fascinating. They are at the high end of the electromagnetic spectrum. And at the low end, perhaps you would have radio waves or something. And radio waves would look like long, rolling waves. And gamma waves would be very high and close together and very, very intense, more like a jackhammer effect. Gamma rays pass through everything. They pass through the earth. They pass through everything they encounter. Gamma rays are encoded with information, just as every bandwidth and frequency length of the electromagnetic spectrum is encoded with information. Radio waves, TV waves, microwaves, you encoded those yourselves with your own signals, but that doesn't mean that those frequency bands didn't carry their own data. But as you know, a radio wave would be different than a microwave or a TV wave. So gamma waves are let's say, part of the cosmic dance. And when these bursts occur, pay very close attention. You will have more of them. You will have many more phenomenological cosmic events happening. You will see bursts in the sky. This comet Holmes is just the beginning of more of these celestial events where the light is going to affect you on the subatomic level. The subatomic level then sets in a new program, rewires the body. Gamma rays carry information, and they are picked up by what is called the cochlea. The cochlea is a shell-shaped, spiral-shaped bone. Stirrup is sometimes called in the inner ear. It vibrates. You think, well, the ear here deals with sound. Imagine light that is encoded with sound. This is what the electromagnetic frequency is. So these gamma rays are heard by the cochlea. The cochlea then sort of transcribes or translates the Morse code of the gamma rays and sends the signals to the nervous system in the body. The nervous system is not confined to the physical body, of course. Your nervous system extends, certainly the nerves extend beyond the cranium, but also you have energy fields that go beyond the skin. So your sensory perceptions and nervous system reach out of the body. The cochlea could be thought of as the grounding of this energy, the control center to disseminate it to physical and non-physical form. In this way, this is how many people can receive simultaneously an upgrade that would give them an epiphany or a greater awareness or an aha of, I never thought of that, and have a sudden awareness. So gamma rays are very powerful. And every time they occur, something very, very purposeful being directed in planetary evolution. You must understand, friends, that your development can be directed not only by those who can elicit behavioral modification through high-definition TV or inaudible sounds or sounds through the cell mass towers or through pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals are exceptionally dangerous, and please stay away from them completely, as also with any inoculations. They're encoded with nanobots that are then designed to pick up information and eventually control your behavior. You do not want to go there. You don't need to go there. However, there's larger beings who can press the dials, push the buttons, and send energy to the species at large. And then what you do with that energy is, of course, up to you. If you've made room in your body and your consciousness is clear, if there's being an energetic upgrade, you're going to get some mileage from it. If you've been living on Twinkies and parked in front of the TV or the computer for the last 20 years, it's going to be harder to download and integrate that particular upgrade of energy. So these upgrades are occurring. Questions? Cecilia, yes.
It's Donna. just now.
Did you just ask our vehicle this question? All right, just to make sure it's you. We will tell you the same thing our vehicle told you. It's going to be hard for some people to hear. It is a CA mind control project. Let's say it is an intelligence organization's mind control project to steer you into certain beliefs that would color and take you away from true spirituality in the New Age. The question was, what is the Course in Miracles? That's a big shh. It's not on the 6 o'clock news, yes? Let's say it's not even on the New Age circuit news, but it is, this lady, it's why we asked her if she had just asked our vehicle, because she came up and asked our vehicle, and our vehicle believes in telling the truth. If she finds something out that is the truth, then it is best to speak the truth. If you do not speak the truth, you're only going to get in trouble. So if you know something that's true, it is best to disclose it, even though it may be very uncomfortable for this room. This room may be more uncomfortable hearing that the Course in Miracles may be a bogus government program than they would be in hearing that Jesus never existed. You understand? It just believes. It just believes. Just believes. But what those beliefs bring up for you is this. And here's the real issue. I trusted that. I trusted that. And I trusted the people that taught this. We'll tell you something. The lady who brought that material forward, Helen Schulman or something like this, she was deeply involved with the people who set up Finhorn and who set up many other mind control projects to steer people through behavioral modification and through tapping into energies, into setting up a container for the arising spirituality to fit in. Do you understand this? Remember, in the 50s, in the 40s, there were massive breakthroughs in understanding what was going on. The Nazis were fixated not on their bloody war so much. They were fixated on getting in touch with the Aryans, the supermen. Who do you think the supermen were? The giants. And do you know that in historical terms, some of the most ferocious giants, they were called the Germanic giants. They were the ones that everyone was very, very frightened of. And you may ask, where did the giants come out of? They came out of, at one time, they came out of Mongolia. And farther back than that, they came from the Pleiades, some of them, to found Atlantis. And these are parts and tidbits of things that perhaps you will remember, you will find in historical's footsteps. So the issue of trust, this is what it comes down to, is that when you find out more things, how are you going to act? I believe that. That's not true. And what do you do when you do that? You catch your breath and you hold, yes? So whenever you catch yourself in a position, whether this weekend or for the rest of your life, when you go, I thought it was whatever. No, there's something bigger going on. You are encountering your belief systems being shattered. And then the real test is, what do you do with it? Do you cross your hands and say, I'm not believing in giants? Well, I believe in the Course in Miracles, and so what? I don't care what you say. How you handle things and your attitude that you take on and your body language is going to determine not whether the Course in Miracles is real or not, or giants. It's going to determine how you handle all the other data that comes your way. And you want to be loose. You remember the Hawaiians? You see how they dance? They are loose, yes? Ooh, they are so loose. So if you get stuck, then just picture beautiful Hawaiian dancing in your mind and send that picture to your body to say, loosen up, relax, you're not threatened, there's no lion ready to bite your legs off, it's only knowledge. And you are all going to encounter information that is going to be contrary to what you have invested in. This is what is called the crash of beliefs. Questions? That was a good one, Celia.
It's Donna.
Donna, we have promised
Yes.
Donna a long time ago, and she's been. Is this the Donna we promised a long time ago? She's steady. All right, Donna, it's your turn.
And actually, we have an order for the mic, so you'll have to basically get an order.
All right. Our eyes are closed to your chaos, and it's quite comfortable not seeing. All right, Donna, what's your question?
And the mic, and then you lost it.
I probably shouldn't ask the question, so that's why it goes around and around.
No shoulds now. No shoulds, trying, guilt, worry, or doubt. Those are the words that need to be blocked out in the dictionary. All right, go for it, please, with grace and clarity.
All right. I do have actually two questions. There was a question about the dreams before.
About?
Dreams, about dreaming.
Dreaming, yes.
But what about the people who say they don't dream at all? Never. I mean, they do not remember.
They do not
their
remember.
dreams.
How
come? Let's say they can sit in meditation and have a vision, very clear vision, but they do not remember their dreams.
Because in meditation they were trained to, with an instructor usually, or guidance, or book or something, to practice to get to that place. And dreaming is the same way. If you want, everyone dreams. It's impossible not to dream. Animals dream. As a matter of fact, there is consciousness in all things, even the chair that we are sitting on. And one could say, in fairness, all consciousness dreams, so the chair dreams. If you want to take it to that level. Now, if you want to remember your dreams, and remember, some people get so busy in life that when they go to sleep, it's a kerplunk. And they don't want to be active at night because it's work. It's work to sleep sometimes and dream. And wake up and remember and incorporate all these things. So on some level, it can be thought of as a sign of laziness. And it can be thought of as a self-fulfilling prophecy. I never dream. Well, guess what? Keep saying it. Keep saying it. You won't start dreaming if you say, I never dream. Just like you won't find yourself abundant if you say, I'm never abundant, I'm always poor. Well, guess what? Keep saying it if you want it. It's the way it goes, a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you want to dream, or if you want to activate your dreams, you have to make an agreement with yourself. I am a dreaming being. Everyone dreams. I'm just like everyone else in my own biology and the hookup, and I didn't make a special batch for me. I am part of the mold. You dream. How do you get to those dreams? And are they? And some people don't want to remember dreams because the few that they have remembered have been very disturbing. So if in childhood you remembered a few disturbing dreams, the last thing you want to do is spend the rest of your life looking at dreams. Yet it is what you need to do to find out the gift in those disturbing dreams. So the best way to do it is to fill up a glass of water, put it next to the bed, drink it all before you go to sleep. Make an intention and say, it is my intention that I will dream tonight, and that I may wake up at night, or when I wake up in the morning, I will write down my dreams. And you get yourself a nice little journal and a special pen, and get that glass of water there every night. Drink that water and make your intentions, and then just go to sleep. Eventually, you'll remember your dreams. You might remember, I remember dreaming about red. And you may say, well, there's no dream in it, so I won't write it down. In the dream journal, I remember dreaming about red. That's the dream. You understand? It's the same thing with regression. People say, well, I can't be regressed. I've never been regressed, or I'm not psychic, or I can't do. So there you are with all your can'ts and shoulds and putting up all the boundaries of what is possible. But in regression, a therapist knows. You get a client on the table, you get them in, and you say, what's there? I don't see anything. There's just a black dot. All right, we'll go into the black dot. Oh, wow, the black dot's turning into a tunnel. Oh, we'll keep going. What else is there? Oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Well, what's in the light? Well, keep going. You keep going. So it may start with something very, very insignificant, and then you must exercise the mind, do what we call Pilates of the mind, to start to let the mind use itself. It's all sitting there in potentiality, just like your body is in potentiality. But how many of you can get up and do ballroom dancing without training? Do you understand? Hello? Knock, knock. Anyone home? So that's how that one goes. And you had a second question, or did you roll them all into one?
I do have a second question, which is about, I don't know how to put in that question, but what I mean is that sometimes we walk somewhere in the cities or villages in other countries for the first time, and there is something like a little small click that you do understand that, I mean, you do recognize that place, not being there before. And is that mean that there is some kind of life cycle that we go through, some incarnations, and then the cycle is ending and it's starting all over again, and we repeat all that, let's say, all our incarnations again the same way like we did in the past lives?
But you have an excellent question, but your conclusions are a bit skewed.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry. This is my second language, so I
that
may
is
not
fine.
put
That is
so
fine.
clear.
And you are doing well. And tell us your first name again.
Dana. Actually, it's Danuta, full name, but Dana.
Danuta. All right. All right. So we'll do our best to answer this question because it is very important for all of you. When anyone, a soul spirit, has had unresolved issues along the lines of time, and those unresolved issues can almost be frozen in time. One could say that growth stops. And let's give a simple example. A young girl falls in love with a soldier from the opposing forces. Right? Somehow she meets someone along the lines of time, falls in love with her captors, and becomes impregnated. And then her culture discovers this. And they banish her, or perhaps do harm to her, or once the child is delivered, perhaps do harm to the child. This simple scenario can dominate lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. You see, your emotionality in physical reality is unique. You do not have this emotionality in spirit world. And the emotionality also always is tied to what you believe. So if you want to understand your beliefs, you always follow your emotions. I am feeling, and then those feelings will tell you what your core beliefs are. So something traumatic where the edge of life is rich and raw, and where sex and love and survival are often involved, those first two chakras, can also arrest a spirit. It can also arrest a bloodline. It will also leave an imprint on the land where you have lived. So in any lifetime, you may be impulsed, particularly in the nanosecond, the likes of all of you and many others would be impulsed to visit places on the planet that have meant something to you. And in this current era, you take your camera and you sign up for a tour, or you go on your own, or you do a family holiday, or something like this. But you are being drawn back to places of significance. And then what you do with that is up to you. Our vehicle's been leading tours for 20 years, taking people all over, and she's seen it over and over again. Those who are unprepared often and have a distorted point of view can go to a place, such as we just visited France and Malta this summer, and have a complete meltdown. Complete meltdown, totally exaggerate everything and affect everyone else, and be so self-absorbed they're not having any idea what they are doing, and yet they are living out something that it's almost like walking over your own grave, do you understand? But it might not be walking over your grave, so to speak, as getting in touch with a similar situation that was played out either as a soul spirit on the lines of time, or you walk in the footsteps of your genealogy bloodline. So what to do in these situations? Own it, own the emotionality and do your best to observe it and not affect everyone else with your let's say, explosions of energy, and look for the ally, look for the purpose. Just as in illness, when you get ill, whether it's a cold or whether it's a twisted toe or and on up from there, there's all kinds of things people are dealing with now. Our vehicle sister had to deal with a brain tumor 10 years ago. Look at your situation, whether it's walking the lines of time or body illness. Look at it as an ally, a friend. Something that is there to take your attention and say, if you want to go forward, this needs to be incorporated. And sometimes what these situations do is they stop you from moving forward mindlessly, and they really funnel your attention to develop new skills, new understanding, and new grace. So the attitude you have about these things is going to color what you experience. Now, you don't want to get so Pollyanna that everything becomes a state of denial because everything is just so perfect and so perfect and so perfect. You have to be able to understand that, yes, there are very, very beautiful, gracious, lovely things out there, but there's some dark stuff too, and you have to be able to acknowledge it's going on and what you're going to do about it. So another example of what Donna Danuta was talking about, it is today you have this proliferation of war in Iraq. And the burgeoning potentiality for that war to explode throughout the whole Middle East. We'll give you a little insight on this. The Middle East is a honeycomb of underground dwellings. Cities, palaces, tunnel systems, museums, libraries. It goes on and on and on. And there are other places around the planet that have these things. South America, most certainly, some in Central America. North America, many things have been contained, although certainly the Southwest is not devoid of its artifacts and skeletons by any means. There was great civilization here a long time ago. But in the Middle East, you have from the historical record an understanding that, as Mr. Sitchin translated, that the Anunnaki came and from Nibiruans and came to found a certain type of reality there. What we want you to understand is that many beings throughout time have played the role of God or goddess coming to your earth because of it being a genetic library. And what is the main passion that all forms of consciousness get to encounter someplace along the line? Is the ability to play God or goddess and to make life. On earth it is a gift. Man and a woman, for billions, millions of years, could co-join together with love under the moon or under the rape and violence of war, and life would be made. And some are not satisfied with that. They want to know the secret of making the homunculus, of making the Frankenstein, of designing life in their own way and playing controller over that life. Many of these clues are in the Middle East. And many things are being held on to now. Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Egypt, Iraq, Iran, Jordan, all of these countries. I'm France. They're sitting on stuff. Why do you think that the U.S. is building the largest embassy in the world? In Iraq. They are building this largest embassy over the openings that will allow them to go down to and meet who is inside the earth. One of the biggest secrets on the planet is not that you have mysterious Lemurians under Mount Shasta or anything like this, let us tell you. It is the burgeoning technological Atlanteans who retreated to the inner earth using their ancient tunnel system. It is they who are still quite giant in size. It is they who occupy many of the craft that you call UFO. They are not the only ones, of course. But this is one of the largest kept secrets on the planet. What is inside. And what's happening is what is inside is starting to come out in Iraq. That was what the first war was about. Creatures, beings. And so this is about containment and location. And then this brings up the idea of depleted uranium. Because the same thing has happened in the Balkans. Things have come out. Yes, it is true there's gold and things of that nature there, the resources. But the Balkans have always been known for anomalous activity, and they were home of the giants in their migratory route. And so what has happened? Your society has created something called depleted uranium and poisoned areas that will be uninhabitable for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. There's no stopping this. It's already in motion. All you have to do is look at the pictures that came out of Chernobyl and the denial and the closing away of these people. And who are these people who decide to be born all distorted and with their organs hanging out of their body or gelatinous blobs of being? What reality is going on that you get to sit here? There's no guilt trip in this. But what reality is going on is that you sit here in council. That's what this weekend is. It is council. And you get to debate and consider the truths of the world. While some beings are incarnating purposely, or by karma and duty, to take on blobs of flesh, to show you not to go in that direction. It's all highly cooperative. It's all highly magnificent. There must be a healing coming in these times. And that healing will come with some very, very, very rewarding futures for all involved. Let's go back to questions now.
This is Michael.
Sounds like Michael's got the... No, we don't
Yes.
want anyone who's asked a question before. Is this a new Michael?
This is a new Michael.
All right, a new Michael. Let's hear it.
This is my first time to see you. Are you an individual or are you a group?
Oh, we are collective. We are sorry that our vehicle didn't go into it, or we didn't completely, but we are a collective of energies. That's why we call ourselves Pleiadians.
Do we address you as a individual name?
You just call us Peas.
Please?
Peas, yes.
Pleased to meet you.
We are pleased to meet you, Michael, but it's not our first encounter with you.
I can't believe I'm fixing to ask a stupid physics question, but I was born in the latter part of the summer of 1951 in the constellation of Leo. At that point in time, the energies, as you say, or the influences, the light from the stars from that constellation took several 100 million years to reach the Earth in August of 1951 in order to create whatever influences on my life since that time, in the past 56 years. Plus, there's been other influences since then. My question is...
And are you saying that was your birth time?
Yes.
All right.
Then my question is that, especially utilizing your word multiverse, it implies that there are more than just, the influences go beyond just this very plane. How come the light from, let's say, Leo, that is currently occurring right now, how come it does not influence as much as the light that occurred in 1951? Do you understand the question?
Sort of, but let's say this. That in any era in which you live, you are going to be influenced by the cultural beliefs. And today, your perceptions, your senses, are attuned to a certain belief system. This belief system is secured when you are in the womb. It is broadcast everywhere, and it is a mass agreement. And so today, much of the world operates under the premise that, who was your famous wild scientist there? Mr. Einstein. Mr. Einstein, his principles have been widely accepted for almost 100 years or so now, when in actuality it is now being proved to some extent that the speed of light can be exceeded, and the speed of light, one could say, determines the limit of certain perceptions. So if your perceptions change, or if your beliefs change, then the speed of light can change. And that, in other words, the things that you believe in as hardcore physics, what's to say they are right? That's our question back to all of you. Because if you look at time and you look at history, things that were accepted as reality were then sort of taken off and say, well, this isn't in fashion anymore. And many of these things that you are understanding about the cosmos and the multiverse are indeed only theory. Jumping in time, backward and forward in time, when people are not ensconced in limiting beliefs, perhaps when you have lived in a more indigenous culture, when the sky was your best friend. Well, today you can hardly find the sky at night because of all the light that is everywhere. But when you lived and slept with the sky and did not have certain interference that is common on the planet today, obviously the human perceptions would have been very, very different and would have embodied a different kind of physics. So not to denigrate physics or science, but they are a result of pea-brain, conscious mind, ego thinking that you have discovered something, but there is no consciousness factored into it. And this is why science is on the verge of a massive revolution, because they are starting to figure out that things are multiple, that this is a multiverse, that there are multiple realities, that you are multidimensional, and that the laws that you have accepted as sacrosanct are absolutely not true. It's the same thing with Tesla and Edison. Society went for Edison, and you got Edison's direct current, and now it's all switched over to Tesla's alternative current. But it was Tesla who was the genius. It was Tesla who was the giant, and who absolutely had contact from other dimensions. He was the Serb, so again the Balkan regions, giant from the Balkans. And it was Tesla's work that went underground and that now forms the secret science, or part of the secret science, of the Soviet Union and the Western world. The Nazis were very interested in Mr. Tesla's work, so was everyone. Why? Because it opened dimensional possibilities. It tapped into free energy. It allowed them to penetrate inside the earth. Questions?
Mel.
Mel, let's go with Mel.
Yes, I was wondering,
That was loud and clear.
The off-planet control group to which you referred earlier.
Say it again, please.
The off-planet control group to which you referred.
Control group, all right, yes.
To which you referred earlier.
Yes.
Are these the beings that you have referred to in the past in your books as the Lizzies?
Oh, no. Oh, no, not at all. That'll put a little bit of a cog in your wheel now. Uh-huh. Who are the off-planet group that would want to control? It is good you brought up the Lizzies, the reptilian consciousness, because it's not as shocking as it used to be to people. But you have had let's say, sentient reptilian energies that occupy the multiverse and have been on Earth. And they can be very controlling. There's no doubt about it. But they are not, let's say, the head honchos of what would be called the bad guys. And to speak in their favor, we would say that the reason you have so many myths and stories about the regality and dignity and divinity of what you would call the dragon is that these lizzies, these reptiles, so to speak, as a core occupation in existence, they are master geneticists. Not all of them, but within their ranks come the master geneticists. And so who built the library? If you are a genetic library, which indeed you are, it is becoming more and more obvious. All you have to do is look at modern science and see what they are doing. They are attempting to convince the surface people that can we make chimeras and make gargoyles and mix genes with everything, while genetically modified foods are taking over your planet and destroying, let's say, the weaker people, those who do not know how to build their immune system with the mind, going to find havoc in the body, children being the most susceptible and vulnerable. So there's a big fight over it. But who are the non-physicals that want to control you? We'll tell you something, Mel. As you learned a little bit earlier when we were talking about Course in Miracles being a government project to be a container for new spirituality. Mind control, of course. Just imagine that there are beings, non-physical, and all kinds of beings extraordinarily interested in not having the people of Earth own Earth. Because you see, once the people of Earth receive these upgrades and they start to get awareness and they learn how to focus their consciousness and do these sit-ups in the mind, so to speak, there's going to be no stopping you. There's going to be what some call the golden age. And some of you remember these prophecies. And the prophecies also say that sometimes one has to go through the dying of the trees, the poisoning of the waters, that all these things are signs that a version of the world is ending. But a golden age can come. And if this golden age comes, those who control your planet, well, they're unemployed for a while until another age comes around. But from another perspective, I want you to remember this, that what looks like your opposition, what looks like your hassle, is indeed an ally. And when you look at it that way, you see that sometimes the tumor, sometimes the sickness, sometimes the controllers or those who will oppose you, yes, they can destroy you, and it is a life and death reality. And that's where, yes, you can die, and you can die very difficultly. But also, these things can bring out the best in you. And you can tap into achievements and victories that would never come about had that difficulty not come knocking on your door. So on some level, when consciousness is really fired, when those codes of consciousness are fired off and humanity starts to move into this new pattern of awareness, into this golden age, those who have been giving you a hard time can retire with grace and ease because they have done their work. You see, without opposition, unfortunately, all forms of consciousness can get complacent and go very, very lazy. So you see, things are not always what you think. And so you must learn to move around ideas like you would move around a sculpted statue. Because sometimes the back of the statue holds clues that you would never see had you not walked behind. These beings, let's say, that want to control your planet, the best way to describe them is you would call them, from your historical perspectives, you would call them demons. And if you travel around the world, in all cultures, they will show you the pictures of what the bad guys are. And how does someone get to be a demon, so to speak? A series of choices that is based on power and greed and destruction of anything to get what you want. That eventually can make you a big bad guy. And you can carry that bad guyness, bad girlness over from all kinds of parts of existence. It does not have to just come from Earth. And what happens today, the unfortunate part of the truth of today, is that you have global elite beings as members of secret societies and practicing what we call the dark art, sacrifice, ritual sacrifice, murder, cannibalism, and worse, you name it, it goes down from there. And what is happening is they would do these ceremonies very ritually, and a ritual, again, is like a recipe. One could say that mom's apple pie is a ritual. Make sure you just put this much salt in and not too much butter. Do it this way. A recipe, a ritual is very similar. You do it exactly the same over and over again. And if you are a church and you can get everyone to do the rituals all at the same time, every day, year after year after year, you are conditioning the space of Earth. So global elite tend to condition reality according to their own calendar. They often use full moon, new moon, solstices, equinoxes, cross quarters, etc., and put down what they want reality to be. No one can create your reality for you, but if you don't create, you become part of another mass creation, unless you say, this is what I'm available for. So war, for example, can be thought of as an offering to these non-physical beings. So even though the soldiers are going to war saying, I'm going to fight for my country, or I'm going to do this out of the duty of honor, and their own delusionment of why they rationalize killing is okay. Because killing is not okay in any condition. Because it never has to be done. So there's no justification for killing. However, people do it, and that's your free choice to do it, then you must pay the consequences as a creator. But what global elite may do is they say, well, all right, this battle here that these troops are going to fight tomorrow on La Mas, August 1st, we will dedicate this war and all those who are killed to you, forces of power. It's called devil worshipping in your language. And so these forces are magnificent. They are imbued by negative emotional energy and by death, by fear and destruction. So when you stop feeding them, you change the vibration of the planet. Do you understand? And you feed them when you watch these kinds of violent as entertainment on the movies and TV. Violence, dear friends, is never entertainment. Do you understand? You must learn the difference between being informed and being entertained. Next question, please. And
Brandy?
Who is it?
Brandy?
Let's hear that deep voice there.
Brandy?
All right. What's your name again?
Brandy?
Brandy, stand back from the microphone a bit, but one moment, please. Gary, timekeeper, how are we doing?
1:24.
1 minute, 24 seconds? Plus about 3. All right.
I'll make
Go
it
for
quick.
it, Brandy.
Thank you.
Then everyone will be going for a brandy after brandy at happy hour. Go for it.
Thank you. Some of us, when we read Bringers of the Dawn years ago, got kind of lazy, didn't do any exercises. And with the acceleration, what would you recommend that we do individually and or as a couple, exercises to promote our DNA change?
Did you say sex in there?
Well, maybe.
All right, it's an excellent question for coming up to the end here. We'll do our best. This will be the last question. What can you do? You must love yourself. Not in a selfish, egotistic way, but if you don't take care of yourself, who's going to? You owe it to your physical body and the living library that when you get the privilege of growing one of these things that you all have called a body, it's a miracle. You are a spirit in a body. So honor your body. Eat well. Give reverence to the earth. Give thanks to all the elements. Make beauty. Whether it is the way you arrange your room so that when you fall asleep and when you wake up you see beauty. Simplicity, but beauty. Love nature. Make your land that you live on more beautiful, whether you own it, whether you rent it. Do everything you can to honor. Honor with actions, honor with vision, honor with words. These are some of the things you can do. We threw that word of sex in because not once in this afternoon did the subject of sex come up. Not in that regard. We threw it out there a couple of times. Sexuality is one of your spiritual keys. And if you are fortunate enough to have a loving partner of whatever predilection you have, then be truthful, be honest, be loyal. Never lie to someone that you are having sex with. And never have sex with someone that you do not have a deep rapport with. Because when you have sex, you build a frequency that is so, so, so powerful. It ripples through the dimensions. So for those of you who are fortunate enough, have a good sex life. And if you think, oh, I'm a bit over the hill, never too old for these kinds of things. Believe us, the body is always young at heart. And there are many ways to enjoy the comfort and the security that love brings. Remember we started off by saying beings come here for love. You would be best advised for the years ahead to really think about where you want to live. And to also think about giving to your communities. Many of you keep quiet about very important ideas. And we can understand why. Who wants to let everyone know I talk to extraterrestrials and I do this and I do this, and people aren't ready for it, and it does sound strange nonetheless. But it is time to spread some of your ideas. It is time to help others, because the whole game is not going to be about information. Yes, the data's fun. Yes, it's intriguing to look at all these unusual aspects of the planet. But the whole game is really going to be about those who can move things with consciousness. Our Vickle is going to be 60 years old and she's never had health insurance. And she never wants it. And she'll never need it. What a solution for the planet, do you understand? That people can get that autonomous. And so what can you do for yourself? The best. Take care of yourself and value your friends. Be truthful and support one another. Now the beeper has gone off and we know many of you have so many more questions, so you'll have to ask us in the dream state. And we'll do our best to hold another session this evening where you can figure out how to meet us in the dream realm. But for now, let's end with a gift. Let's do a collective energy exercise very quickly and start the weekend off by raising the vibration for the entire planet and for all of those who are coming here to learn and to work with the healing along the lines of time. So if you would clear your throats, give a good clearing, clear it out. And then close your eyes and exhale very deeply, clearing the lungs, exhaling, making room now for a nice big inhaling. And now separate your jaw, relax your tongue, let your hands rest lightly on your lap, and trust for a few moments that you'll be safe and that you can let go. And let's walk through the garden of the mind together. Let's make a blueprint of breath and mind and imagination and a vision for the future. You have done this so many times across the lines of time. See if you can remember walking a path on the way to meeting people, going to a secret meeting where you are questioning, showing and exploring what is happening. And so see yourself in a timeless place now. Let your body be relaxed by your breath and keep breathing deeper and deeper. And let your tongue relax. jaw separated. And let yourself go deeper and deeper into your own uniqueness. And look and see a path in front of you. For some it may be stone. For some it may be scattered with bone. Maybe hard-packed dirt or sand that is difficult to walk through. Maybe at the end of a cliff, or it may lead you into a deep, deep cave. Let yourself be on that path now. You are going to a very important meeting. You're going to meet with 12 other friends, colleagues, beings. You will be the 13th. And you have something in a satchel that you have found. And everyone's going to be waiting for you to come and pull out what is inside that satchel. And so feel the moon over your shoulder and the stars making a bridge overhead. And suddenly you are at the meeting. Perhaps everyone has a cloak with a hood. And so slowly remove your hood and look around at the others and see them doing the same thing. And have the courage to look in each other's eyes and be certain that there is trust, that there is pure trust and camaraderie in the eyes of those that you see. And then find yourself reaching into a velvet pouch. Your hand touches something which is round, it is solid, it is vibrating with energy. Pull it out now and lay down the velvet bag and put an orb of energy on top of it. And watch everyone look at it. And watch that orb open up and open the lines of time. And turn that orb now into earth. Picture the beautiful globe of earth in front of you. And that you with your friends are sending all the solutions, all the answers to the people of the world to safely, graciously, and timely wake up. And any special message that you want to send, do it now, from your heart, from deep emotionality to the world. And then look at your colleagues. You have the look of Cheshire cats. You are smiling. You're feeling the energy. Feel it inside yourself. And let the vision fade. Let it fade very slowly, but you can see that orb giving off energy, and that is symbolic of earth. And then remember where you are, the clothes you have on. Feel your feet on the floor. Don't move yet. But feel the flexibility of consciousness that you can be a solid being now and a time walker in your mind. So focus on your breath and any message you want to send to the earth of upliftment, of healing, do so, please. And then 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes, come back to the moment, put a smile on your face. We say with grace, thank you very much. In Polish, we say do widzenia, and aloha, and adios, and all the others. It's been a tremendous pleasure, dear friends, and the weekend has only just begun. Enjoy yourselves so that you have the time of your lives. Good evening.